Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Samarth and here I am back with another video for you guys. And before we actually start with the video, I just want to take a moment and thank everyone for showing their great support for the channel and the videos that I have been creating. I was going through all the videos that I have on my channel and I noticed that the video on Future Builder, which is a Flutter video, is quite popular. So I thought, why not make a video on StreamBuilder as well, which is a very similar widget but works in a different way. Also, understanding streams, stream controllers and stream builders is the foundation to building a reactive application in Flutter. So in this video, we are going to build a very exciting small project. It is going to be a dictionary application where you can just go ahead and type in a word and look for the meaning of the word. And for that, we'll be using an external API, owlbot.info, and this is an API that you can use for free if you are a developer. All you have to do is just head over to owlbot.info, click this button, get a free token, and you can get your token. Once you have your token, you just have to make a request to the particular URL with your token included in your header, and you get a JSON response back which contains a key called definitions, which is actually the JSON array that contains all the possible meanings for that word. Now I'm using this API because it's fairly simple to use, but it will clarify all the concepts and the basics that you need to learn in order to build an application that uses any external API. So let's go back to our application, and here you can see that I have just scaffolded a new Flutter project, and the first thing I'll do is get rid of all the comments that I have here, and I'll also clean up the code a little bit. So I'll remove everything that I do not need, and I'll also clean the build method. I'm going to call this application as Flictionary. Okay, so now you can see that I have cleaned up the code and I have my application running on the right. I'm using hot reload. As I type in any code on the left and save the file, the changes will be immediately reflected on the right in the iOS simulator here. So for this small project, I'll be writing all the code inside main.dart file, which you should never do if you are building a real project. But to keep things simple, I'm going to do everything in the main.dart file itself. So I want to define a couple of things first. First of all, I want to define a few strings. The first one will be the URL to our API. I'll bring that in here. And the second one will be our token that you can get from owlbot.info. So I'll paste the URL, which is owlbot.info/API/v4/dictionary, to which you can go ahead and concatenate the word that you are looking the meaning for. I'll also paste in the token. You can go ahead and get your token for free from owlbot.info. So the first thing I want to do is in my app bar, I want to have a text box that the user can use to type in the word and then press a button to look for the meaning of the word. So I'll be writing all that code inside my app bar itself. The app bar has a property called bottom, which takes in a widget of type preferred size widget. So I can define a preferred size here, and we need to define its preferred size. So I can just go ahead and size dot from height, and I'll define its height to be 48 units. Next, I need to define the child, which I will be defining as a row. So I'll be having multiple widgets organized horizontally in this bottom area. And the first widget that I'm going to have is a text form field. Okay, this is going to be the text field that the user will be typing in. So a couple of properties on this text form field. So the first property that I'll be defining is decoration, and decoration will be assigned equal to input decoration with some hint text, content padding, and a border of none. So I'm removing the border. Let's save that and see how it looks. And I'm getting this error, and that's because I need to wrap this text form field inside an expanded widget. So I'll wrap it with an expanded widget, and as I save, you can see that I get this text form field here that I can go ahead and type in. Next, I'll be defining a property called onChanged, which is basically a function that is executed every time you type in anything. So we'll be using this to keep an eye on what the user is typing. And for now, I'll leave it blank, and we'll be defining a controller. But as of now, we do not have a controller, so I'll just create one real quick. So I'll go to the top here, create a text editing controller. Let's call it controller, and I'll set it equal to a text editing controller object. Okay, so that creates a controller that we can use to control how this text form field works. We'll use this controller object to get the value typed by the user in this text form field. So now that we have a text form field, I'll move on to creating the second child inside this row, which is going to be an icon button. So I'll create an icon button, and this will contain an icon, and the icon will be something like icons.search, and I'll also define the color of the icon, which will be colors.white. So I want a white icon, and now we have a white icon. Now I'll have some styling applied to this text form field that we have inside an expanded widget. So I'll wrap this text form field widget with a new container, and I'll add some styling to this container. So basically I'm adding some margin towards the left and at the bottom, and I'm also adding some border radius and defining the background color of this container. And as I save it, you can see that I get a very nice looking text form field wrapped inside a container with a nice circular border. Our icon here is still going to have a function called onPressed, which is basically just a function that will be executed when you tap on this search button. As I save it, you can see that the button now becomes tappable. You can tap on it and you can see this tap effect right here. So we'll be calling a function called search from here, and this search function will basically be doing all the searching for us and will be populating a list view that will create right here inside the body. So let's go ahead and get rid of that error first. So I'll create that function search, and the search function will do the searching thing for us. It will make a GET request to this API along with the token, and then get the response and return it back to us. Now comes the complicated part, which is going to be our body. So inside the body, I'll be using a StreamBuilder, and a StreamBuilder is a widget that renders its child every time you add something to a stream. And you can think of a stream as a pipe to which you can add data from one end, and the StreamBuilder gets that data from the other end. And whenever the StreamBuilder gets that data, it rebuilds its children with that data. So the StreamBuilder requires a stream, which is basically the name of the pipe that it has to use, and we'll use that stream to add the data when we get the data from the API. So as soon as we'll add the data to that stream, the StreamBuilder can show that data to the user. So there are basically two parts to this. The first part is getting the data from the API and adding it to the stream, and the other part is building the UI using that data from the stream. So we'll be doing that in steps, but before we can actually get started with writing the code inside the search function, we'll have to create a few objects. So the first one, I'll be creating a StreamController. I'll call it StreamController, okay? And the second one will be a stream, and I'll call it a stream, okay? Next, I'll override the init state function, and in here, I'll be initializing these objects. So I'll be creating a StreamController with a new StreamController object, and I'll be initializing the stream object. And to do that, all I have to do is just type in StreamController.stream. Okay, so I have a StreamController, and that controller's stream is now the stream object. So now this StreamController and this stream are connected. Okay, now we can start writing the code inside the search function, and the first thing we'll do is check if the value of the text inside the text form field, which we can access using controller.text, if it is null, or if the length of the text is 0, which means that the user has not typed in anything in the text box. So if the length is 0, in that case, we just want to display an error message to the user, or we just want to inform the user that they have to type in something to actually search for the meaning. So what I'll do is just add an event to the StreamController. So I can just go ahead and type in StreamController.add, and here I can just go ahead and type in anything I want, which will be received in the StreamBuilder when that happens. So if the user has not typed in anything and you hit the search button, the StreamBuilder will receive whatever you pass in right here. So for now, I'll just pass in a null object. Okay, and I can detect a null object very easily in my StreamBuilder. So if that happens, I add the null object to the StreamController. Otherwise, I can go ahead and make a GET request to the Owlbot API. And to make a network request, I need a package called HTTP. So I'll just go ahead and add a dependency in my pubspec.yaml file, save the file and hit packages get and add an import for the HTTP package. And I'll scroll down, come back to the search function right here, and I'll just go ahead and type in using the get function. So the get function takes in the URL, which is _URL in our case, and it also takes in a property called headers, which is going to be a JSON object here. And if you look at the API's documentation, you can see that I need to pass in a header with the name authorization, and its value is going to be token and the actual value of the token, both separated by a space right here. So the headers is going to be authorization and its value is going to be token, and I'll concatenate the actual token with this value and make sure that you have this extra white space right here. I'll save that. If you hover your mouse over the get function, you can see that it returns a future of type response. So I can get the response and I can store it inside a variable if I just use the await keyword right here. But to use the await keyword right here, I need to make this search function async. So I'll do that. And now I do not have any errors anymore. Now that I've got the response, I'll encode this response as a JSON object, and then I'll be adding all this data to my StreamController. So I can do that in just one line of code. I can go ahead and type in StreamController.add, and here I can just go ahead and type in JSON.decode, to which I can just go ahead and pass in response.body, which actually contains a string. I'll click on JSON and bring in the darts convert library right here. I'll save everything, and at this point, because I have installed a new package, I'll have to stop my application completely and run it or rebuild it all over again. And this basically concludes the part that actually goes ahead, uses the word, gets the data and adds the data to our stream. And I just noticed that I have passed in the URL here, but I also need to concatenate the word that the user has typed in. So I can just go ahead and concatenate controller.text.trim with this URL. So that will create the whole URL. And I'm getting this error because builder is still null in our StreamBuilder. So I'll scroll down, and now we'll be moving on to the second part, which is building the user interface. So the StreamBuilder takes in a property called stream, to which I'll just pass in our stream that we have defined above. And the second part is the builder. A builder is just a function that takes in a build context object, okay, you can call it anything you want, and an async snapshot, which basically contains the data that you have added to the stream from your code. So we have the snapshot. Now we just need to check if snapshot.data is equal to null, which means that the user has not typed in anything. Remember, if the user has not typed in anything, we are adding null to our StreamController. So we need to check if the data in our snapshot is null. Then we can just display a message to the user telling them to type in something into the text field. So here what you can do is just return a center widget with the child as a text widget with the text enter a search word. If that's not true, then we can actually build a list out of the data that we are getting in our snapshot. So in that case, we'll use a list view builder. So I can just go ahead and type in use a list view builder with an item builder, and here we can actually build our list. So here we'll be building the UI, but before we get started with that, I also want to define a property called item count, which I'll set equal to the length of the definitions array that we have returned in our response. So I can just go ahead and type in the length to be equal to snapshot.data, and from that data object I just want to extract the definitions array and use its length. Okay, that will give me the length of the items that I want to display in this list. And now we can go ahead and build the UI. So whatever I'll return from here will be an item in the list. So I'll just use a list body. The list body will have only two children. The first one will be a container, and this container will have a color. Let's give it a gray color, a slightly lighter gray color, and it will have a child, and the child will be a list tile. We can now have a leading property here, which we will use to display the image if we have an image right here in the image URL property. So if we have an image, we want to display that image in the leading property right here inside a circle avatar. But if we don't have an image, we do not want to display the leading property. So we'll have to check if the image URL contains something or not. So I'll just go ahead and type in snapshot.data definitions at index. And right here, I can just go ahead and check if we have a property called image URL. And if that is equal to null, then the leading property will be equal to null. Otherwise, the leading property will be equal to a circle avatar. Okay. And the circle avatar will have a background image set equal to network image, and the URL will be the image URL. Next, we'll have a title. And for the title, I just want to display the word along with the type of the word. So I'll be using the type property from here. So the word is noun, a pronoun, or whatever. And I'll be concatenating it with the actual word that the user has typed in. So I'll use the text widget, and to the text widget, I can just go ahead and pass in controller.text.trim, and I'll concatenate it with a string that will look something like this. And in here, we can just use the type. So I can just replace this with type. So I think we should have something by now. So I get this message, enter a search word. Let's go ahead and type in something here. And you can see that I get some response. I get the image of the dog and I get the word dog with the value noun, which tells me that the word is a noun. So the first part of the list body is done. Let's add the second child, which will basically just contain a text widget containing the meaning of this word. So we can get the meaning using the definition property right here. So to the text widget, I'll just pass in the definition. Okay, let's save that. And now you can see that I get the definition right here. I'll have to add some padding around this. So padding of 8 units on all sides should be okay. And now you can see that I get this under the gray container. And what I want to do is wrap this StreamBuilder inside a container and have some margin around my StreamBuilder, which will eventually contain our list view builder. If I hide the keyboard, you can see that this word do has multiple meanings. So I get a list of all the possible different meanings of this word. So the API is pretty good. I get different types, abbreviation, noun, verb, and all the different meanings for each one of these. So we have a working dictionary application. And if you go back, undo the text, and if you hit the search, you get the message, enter a search word. Okay. So there is something that is still going wrong. So we'll go back to the search, and here I'll return because I do not want to make a get request if the text is null or the length of the text is 0. And also if that's not the case, then I want to do something more, which is I just want to add an event with the text waiting so I can detect if we are in the process of making a get request. So if we have added waiting to our StreamController, we can detect that right here. So I can just go ahead and type in if snapshot.data is equal to waiting. In that case, we can simply return inside a center widget a circular progress indicator. Okay, that will display a loading indicator to the user while the application is trying to get the meaning for the word. So if I go ahead and type in do again, hit the search button, I get this loading spinner and I get the meanings when the request is complete. So you can see how StreamBuilder has made our life so easy. You can make the changes to your UI based on the data that you can add to your stream whenever you want, and the UI will update in real time. One last thing that I want to do is, instead of having this search button right here and have the user tap on this button to actually search, I want to invoke the search function automatically if the user is done typing. So if a user has been typing in and for the last 1 or 2 seconds, if they haven't typed in anything, we can assume that they are done typing and we can invoke the search function automatically. And to do that, we just have to use a timer in Flutter. So I'll just create a new timer object and I'll call it debounce. Okay, this object is null as of now. And now I'll go to the onChanged property of this text form field, and inside this function I'll paste in some code. So if you look at this code, what I'm doing is checking if the timer is active, and if it is active then we'll cancel the timer, otherwise we'll just start the timer for 1 second. So as the user types in, the timer will get cancelled every time the user presses a key, but if the user doesn't press a key for 1 second, then the code will invoke the search function, which is a pretty cool functionality to have. So now if I just go ahead and type in done, and even if I do not press any key or press the search button, the search automatically got invoked. I can go back and the search automatically starts. Although it will increase the number of GET requests your app is making, because every time the user changes the text, your app will be making a GET request. So that's the basic project that I wanted to build in this video and explain different concepts, especially the StreamBuilder, to all the beginners out there. So if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, or if you want me to produce more videos like this, let me know your feedback in the comment section below. I'll be looking forward to your comments and to your feedback. Thanks for watching.